All right. Yes, indeed. We are once again back here with another Night of Champions reaction video, our last reaction video from Night of Champions. And before we get into all of it, I just want to say this was a lot of fun to watch wrestling at 10 a.m. on the West Coast. Nika, nothing like starting your Saturday with some WWE. Am I right?
I set your day right.
Not only did we watch the event, but we started watching the pregame at like 8 o'clock, which was a little disappointing because it wasn't like a full like NFL Network pregame Sunday studio show. It was like a lot of pre-cut promos and filler and
Lots of fluff.
just a lot of retelling and just re-showing of the old footage. No in studio live. That was afterwards. They did do a post-game show, and that was cool.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, we were here for all of it, and we wanted to kind of take in the whole experience as it was our first Saudi Arabia PLE paid live event. And yeah, here we go. You can see the slide. Cena versus Punk. It was the main event for the Undisputed WWE Championship. And I just want to say I really enjoyed the lead and the build up into this matchup here, Nika. The whole mic skills and all the back and forth, the nostalgia trip, the pipe bomb, all of it. I was digging it, you know.
It all started the day before when they were making announcements when CM Punk came on and had to apologize for a tweet that he did 14 years or 12 years ago.
I think 6, but
okay.
yeah, still.
The match was 12 years ago.
Who hasn't made a tweet that they regret from 6 years ago, huh? That's not an invitation to go check my Twitter feed from 6 years ago. So please do not do that. Just kidding. No, this was a great way to actually start the event for CM Punk because I think a lot of people were wondering how he was going to be received, and he was very booed.
At first.
No doubt. But he kissed the ring, as they say. He apologized for his tweet, and he chalked it up to being mad at The Miz, which he was tweeting at The Miz when he said this comment. I'm not going to repeat it on the air, by the way, so you can go look it up if you want to find it yourself. It is kind of interesting. So, yeah, maybe worthy of an apology. Good apology, CM Punk. Good apology. And,
Owning it.
He owned it. And, I turned to Nika and I said our favorite line from Gladiator, win the crowd.
Yeah.
And by the time he finished that first promo, which was Friday morning, I believe. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He had some cheering going on for him again. And he took a lot of selfies with the fans. And like he went out of his way. You could tell. He was making the effort, as they say.
And he was also representing Chicago, the Cubs and the Bulls.
Yes, he did a lot of Chicago promo, not only in this matchup, as we'll see in a second, but on SmackDown. He also came out in the Cubs baby blue, what are they called? The City Connect uniform. And he also had on a Chicago Bulls hat and a pair of Chicago Cubs colored Air Jordan 85s, the Air Jordan 1. That would be the one. And they were colored like the Chicago Cubs, baby blue and red.
So you think he was flexing?
And those Cubs jerseys, I want to remind people, are the colors of the Chicago flag. So they are not necessarily Cubs colors. They are Chicago colors. And
well, he also wears Chicago wardrobe. I don't know if that's a wardrobe.
He's from Chicago.
I
the
know.
4 stars, that's the
flag.
That's Chicago. This was legendary, as they call it. I can't disagree. This was a legendary buildup, and it was a legendary event. Mm-hmm. And it deserved the legendary treatment here, all caps. And you can see CM Punk rocking that Chicago flag. It would usually be on a white background, but we get it.
Yeah.
It's Chicago. Through and through. The Chicago kid was representing well across the globe in Saudi Arabia. Thank you so much for that, CM. And it was, of course, Cena one last time with the belt. And, I think out of all of the greatest hits that Cena is doing right now, we call it the greatest hits tour. This one might have been one of my favorites so far. The mic skills were unprecedented, and I think they're going to have a hard time living up to this with any of these other feuds that are planned. I reserve the right to be wrong, but from a microphone standpoint alone, I think these two brought it, and they put on a hell of a show, not just at the Night of Champions event, but the whole build up into it.
Well, they were also selling the fight so well. Cena is really good at selling the emotional aspect of the show.
Yes. During our Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton video, we talked about how it was such a smart decision by WWE to let them go first because it was such a raucous audience and they hadn't seen this in a while, obviously, and they were very lively and participatory and doing chants, and that can be kind of distracting to work through sometimes too when it's not ordinary. And here you kind of had a similar thing going again with the crowd. Once again, you cannot compete with these two. You know, even I mean, Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes were the only two that could, and so that's why I think it was good to bookend the event with those two and these two, because these two were always going to be the end. But the crowd was once again lively and back into it, and boy, oh boy, Nika, they didn't even know they needed to buckle up and bring their seatbelts because holy crap, a lot went down in this matchup, more than I thought was going to go down. I was expecting just kind of a pretty straight up wrestling match. I thought Cena would try and use the belt as the finisher, and he was talked out of it. This was the second time now he's been talked down from using the belt in a moment. He would have been disqualified here. He would have retained because he could only lose the belt via submission or pinfall. Not disqualification. But nevertheless, he threw that belt aside, and the fight went on, as they say. It continued. And then this happened, Nika. Well, the referee got knocked out, and CM Punk had himself a pretty damn near victory. The crowd counted, I think, to 8. And then CM Punk realized the ref was knocked out and was like, oh, what's going on? And he goes over to the rope, and he's like, come on. Somebody come out here and count for me. And somebody did respond. And it was Seth freaking Rollins, and boy, oh boy, did my heart skip a beat for a second. And I said, oh, here we go. Here we go. You know, all the teasing with Naomi, and now they're going to flip the script on us and give us Seth, and he's actually going to do it, right? Well, kind of. You can see he doesn't even mess around. He just brings everyone out with him at once. Like, it's like a Reservoir Dogs shot, isn't it, on the right? do, if you know the movie. Chaos ensued indeed. Seth Rollins brought that briefcase right into the middle of the ring. Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed doing the handiwork on Cena and CM Punk here, and just letting them both have it. The referee, as we said, is knocked out, remember? So like nobody knows what's going on. And nobody backstage apparently can see that they need a referee. Well, Seth needs a referee because he needs a referee to cash in Money in the Bank. He needs a referee to make the match official, and he can pick the match whenever he wants, but he just needs to have a ref with him. So as you can see, he gives the ref the signal as his henchmen are doing the dirty work on the outside, Nika.
And the ref is running into the ring.
The ref comes running down into the ring. Now, John Cena did intercept the referee, and that's when things got all kinds of crazier. Penta came down, and Bron Breakker got into it with Penta. This is kind of a continuation of their matchup. They were in a fatal 4-way matchup, and there's been a lot of backstabbing. And anyhow, Penta comes down. Sami Zayn comes out again for another time. He gets back into it with Bron Breakker, and then we get some acrobatics here. I wanted to show this because, again, I think this is a missed opportunity on WWE's part, and I don't know the rules and like how close they're allowed to interact with the crowd and stuff, but I would have loved to them incorporate this ramp more into the show. This was like the first and only time it was used. We had this whole street fight with Rhea and Raquel earlier, and they didn't use the ramp at all. So I just felt like it was an underutilized thing, and there's probably some rules that I'm not aware of from the country itself that prevent them from getting closer and doing any more like close stunts.
Maybe because there were always security guards between the fans and the people, so even the fans couldn't touch the participant, the talent.
Yeah, well, that didn't stop Cody Rhodes from giving a young man a t-shirt.
No, a belt.
Oh, that's right, a belt. Thank you. Well, continuing on with this matchup here, this happened. This was probably the most surprising thing I didn't have on my bingo card for this event, and that is CM Punk and John Cena shaking hands in the middle of the ring after all of the dust kind of cleared from this crap.
Shaking hands.
And then when we saw them embrace, we saw that stare from Cena again, the same stare that he gave The Rock when he turned heel on Cody Rhodes.
The evil stare.
That was at the Elimination Chamber event, I believe, at the beginning of March before WrestleMania. So it's been a minute since we've seen that stare from Cena. And like I said, I wonder if they're playing up this possession angle with him. Like The Rock literally like has bewitched him.
Does he have a voodoo doll in the bag? Like
That would be hilarious, and I want it now, Nika. I want The Rock to have a scene just like poking his Cena doll. Like, oh, that would be hysterical, and it would just take it to a next level. Yeah, I don't. This is probably the first witchcraft storyline, I guess, aside from the Undertaker. Maybe. I mean,
that
who
was
knows?
a while ago.
It's
so
been a
this is-
while since we went this metaphysical in WWE. But anyways, I still couldn't believe these guys shook hands after everything that they've been through in the past 6 weeks, and just
It was a fake shaking hands.
it was after the dust settled. It was John Cena retaining the title. Nika, we both predicted this ahead of time
Greatest
because
tours.
John Cena's on his greatest hits tour right now, and it's a lot more interesting of a show when he has the title. I'll tell you that much. He's been amazing on the mic through all of it as a heel.
Mm-hmm.
He's really embraced this role, and he is, he's loving it, I feel like.
So who's gonna challenge him in the SummerSlam?
Well, I think it's going to be Cody Rhodes. The wild card in all of this, in the men's and the women's division, is what's going to happen with Money in the Bank suitcases, and when are those going to get cashed in, and are they going to be successful cash-ins when they happen? I've seen some. Seth Rollins has never beaten Cody Rhodes, apparently.
Oh.
And I feel like Cody Rhodes is going to probably be the one to challenge Cena next, since he's King of the Ring and Cena is still champion, and it just makes sense. But I wouldn't
agree.
be surprised if Seth figures out a way to slip himself into that matchup either before it starts or after it starts.
I would say after.
It would be quite the turn of events if that were to happen. But nevertheless, I'll be on the edge of my seat waiting. All these Money in the Bank teases between Naomi and Seth, like, it's got my blood rush going a little bit. And I really want to see someone cash in and do something, and shake it up a little bit.
Would be great.
Both of them. I don't think Cena's going to lose the belt now. It's possible he loses it at SummerSlam, especially if they do a bait and switch, if Cody goes heel and Cena starts to come out and The Rock is involved. I think we see The Rock finally. We have to see The Rock, right?
I would guess, yeah. He hasn't been around.
Waiting patiently for The Rock. All right. John Cena leaves Saudi Arabia with the title. I hope the next Cena Greatest Hits tour stop lives up to this one, because this one was great.
It will be hard to top this one.
Also, Seth Rollins kind of cost CM Punk here a title victory.
That's true.
Does CM Punk now have a bone to pick with him, and is that a possible feud? Are we going to see a Saturday night main event? I can't help but notice Seth Rollins hasn't wrestled in a while.
That's true. Maybe next it's going to be CM Punk on his greatest tour hits, his farewell before he retires.
I mean, it's a good point to end on here for this particular video, and I don't mean for it to be bittersweet, but John Cena is 48 years old and CM Punk is 46 years old, and even though you and I have just recently started watching wrestling again, we can recognize how good and how great, I'll say it, both of them are with their microphone skills. Try doing a podcast, you'll appreciate how great they are on the mic. Nevertheless.
But yes, getting slammed constantly on the ring, whether that's supported or not, it will take toll on your body.
Oh, yeah. Most of these guys are, have
banged up,
bad backs in their 50s and 60s. And, they carry the weight of these events with them forever and ever and ever. Mick Foley, especially. A little shout out to My Day, Mankind, Cactus Jack, Mick Foley. They didn't go as hard as Mick Foley, but I don't think they would have been allowed to in Saudi Arabia anyway. No thumbtacks, no steel cages yet. This was fun, Nika. This was a fun event. Not a lot of surprises tonight, but all in all, we really enjoyed the Saudi Arabia event. Give it a 9 or a 10 out of 10. We'll see how I feel about it in a couple days when we come down from the high. I'm still shocked seeing Seth come out at the end, and I really thought he was going to do something.
It was a great surprise. We were not expecting him to come out.
No, the Royal Rumble is going to be in Saudi Arabia next time, and that means there's going to be 30 men and 30 women, plus an additional 2 or 3 matches worth of wrestlers. So I'm going to go out and say 75 talent alone needed to get through the Royal Rumble event. Seems like it's going to be a much bigger production. I wouldn't be surprised if they do SmackDown and Raw next time in Saudi Arabia all together, so that they can kind of do that Friday, Saturday, and then Monday, and then leave. Well, that's going to wrap up our Night of Champions, John Cena versus CM Punk coverage here. Our reaction, it's over. John Cena is still the champion, and no surprises there. But let us know what you thought of this matchup in the comments below, and let us know what your thoughts are about SummerSlam and where this is all going, both with John Cena, with CM Punk, and Seth Rollins, and Cody Rhodes. Stay tuned, everybody. We are going to be here covering it and watching it all.